So I'm here with Aldo Sollazzo from Noumena and organizer of the Reshape 2019 event and all the previous Reshape events. Yeah. Aldo, thank you so much for organizing such an amazing event and for hosting a wonderful team of emerging designers from all over the world. Now, how did you start and why did you start this project?
Reshape started as a challenge, like many things that we do in our office and also in our environment of creativity. It started with the idea of questioning all existing medium of idea generation and production. So how much can we shift towards a distributed system of production that really relies on new digital tools that can embed and shift as well the way that we manipulate materials, the way that we define new aesthetic language, and also we establish new protocols of fabrication and dissemination of these solutions. We started in 2014, trying to gather a global and interconnected network of nodes that could push these boundaries. We started using the ecosystem of Fab Labs that are fabrication laboratories that also represent an interesting environment where ideas are manufactured, are developed and shift between bits and atoms. And with this idea in mind, we started to, over the year, to target all the time more precise sectors that really could represent this change, this shift. And we thought that the fashion industry was actually the right environment because of the relationship with the body, which is the key aspect, the key factor of all these changes, and also the interesting relationship between all the different forces that a body can represent. So I guess it's an interesting landscape where we can somehow engineer new solutions and apply new techniques that really can also tackle new needs and novel trends that our society is presenting. And in order, maybe if I
by all means,
also talk a little bit how it evolved. It evolved also with the idea of who are the actors that we need to engage in this operation. So as I said before, we really started with this idea of Fab Labs, creators, makers, designers, but then we found out during the editions that it wasn't enough. So in order to produce innovation, and innovation actually means a change that matters in society, we had to involve all the different actors that represent the innovation chain. Okay, so we had industry players, research centers, educators, professionals that are helping us selecting and understanding which are the right profiles that are engaging their talent and knowledge in the direction that really could trigger new solutions in our society.
As I see that through your knowledge and expertise, you're pushing this slowly migration from the physical realm to the digital realm. You introduce fabrication and programming materials so that the materials that we look at, suddenly they gain new properties. One aspect of what you're doing, but where do you see that taking the body? So if we migrate at a point in the future from the physical realm into a digital realm, do we really need a body to refer?
Oh, totally. Totally. I mean, it's not a linear shift. So it's not only from the digital to the physical or vice versa, but it's actually a circular one. So it is extremely interconnected, and all the applications in technology that we are also representing here and pushing and promoting are applications that parameterize or convert into numbers and input all the physical behaviors of material in order to define aesthetics that through the digital fabrication
into
goes
binary
back.
systems.
Yeah, but paradigms, codes, and algorithms, they at the end go back to the physical realm thanks to digital fabrication, and the body becomes the agent that is combining and winding all these different protocols all together. It became the end target that really can at the end evaluate the impact of all these different combinatorial process. And if we want to talk about the industry, this is also the key aspect that is changing the industry of today. I mean, since the very beginning, the industry of fashion, and not only that, have been working by divided sectors that are not really strictly linked in terms of understanding and sensibility from the material side, the design protocol, the manufacturing and production, into one linear process. These technologies, all these technologies are specific, because technology is specific, but it's also transversal. So thanks to this transversality, we can actually understand and embed new expertise, new professionalities that have a vigorous understanding of the implication of one act before and after, you know, the material manipulation and prototyping and fabrication. So it means that there is a proper understanding of all the criteria that at the end define how we can innovate. You know, because it's connected. The strong connection between all these different aspects that before were extremely separated.
Didn't exist in the past.
Exactly.
But I'm looking at it from a consumer perspective, a buyer of fashion. Now, from an evolutionary psychology lens, we consume to showcase our status in a social context. Now, where do you see consumer adopting these new type of realities? How would the consumer perceive this emerging shape that allows you to interact with the environment in ways that we haven't experienced before?
It's you know, there are many hidden forces that we are starting to introduce in the industry. You cannot change an industry by disrupting whatever was existing. But we are slowly shifting thanks to this technology from a mass customization, from a mass production to a mass customization. This is a very big difference, because it means that we are also tackling the complete existence, the reason why we are questioning the existence of fast fashion, you know, and which are the values and the paradigm that can still make this economical model, you know, economically feasible. You know that in fast fashion, at least 30% of all the garments and accessories that you buy, after 1 year, they are already destroyed. You know, they are not used anymore, discarded. But what happens when we start to program materials, when we actually give a proper decadency to material, you know, and also the way that we can upcycle all these new waste and turn it again into a new cycle of creativity and generate new solutions, new garments out of it. So there is this idea of also circular economy, but I would call it circular creativity, that can empower a new way of changing as well the ethics and the values of an industry that really start to lose its basics, no? And I guess this is thanks to a technology that is getting closer and closer and closer to the single person, you know, instead of considering just users, is considering Laurenti, Aldo, you know, the specific individuality of users and their specific needs. And this is what you can actually translate in solutions thanks to new technologies.
Amazing. And that takes me to some of the projects we've seen here for the last 3 days. Amazing. Now, one project in particular, the one that allows you to laser print garments, to me that's fascinating. And I want us to talk about the projects a tiny bit, but that particular project, you talk about customizing the garments to the specific needs of
taste, needs, etc.
Absolutely. So in that project, if I understand it right, you take your personal audio and video files and you allow via an algorithm to convert them into a tangible print on a garment. So more or less you're wearing your emotions or your memories. How beautiful is that? Where do you see the applicability?
But you know, there are many applications that can be made out of it. Imagine that, and they are extremely transversal. So I mean, you wouldn't believe that we've been exploring similar applications in the Master in Robotics in the Institute of Advanced Architecture in Ajax, trying to project blueprints in a construction site using drones and a galvanometer to provide instructions for the worker. So, but that's again the transversality of technology. In this specific case, what is beautiful is also the sensibility and the capacity to look at the past. So this technology is nothing new, which is also another secret of innovation. It's not about inventing something new. It's also about understanding the connection and relationship between existing solutions and understanding how you can reshape them, reconfigure their logic, the instructions that are embedded into this new paradigm, and produce new novel solutions. So it's a technique that is coming from photography, And it's interesting because it's directly dealing also with material properties. So what is happening is that it's creating a film that is sensible to UV light, like the photography one, and when it's hit by this layer that actually read the specific coordinates digitally and translate coordinates in a special instruction for the laser, you produce a pattern.
Wow.
And it's extremely interesting as well because you can, since it's working on surface, you can adapt this pattern also to complex geometries that can start to talk, to speak, to have their proper language.
That's amazing.
And I think this is something that makes it really unique.
So there is no doubt that you guys are changing the world, not only of fashion, but the world as we understand it at the moment. But for the audience out there, I want you to talk about how do you support this emerging designer. So take me, assuming that I'm a designer, I have an outstanding project, and I want to apply to Reshape 2020 next year.
Yeah.
And take me to the journey. What happens with my project? You assess it, the award that I get, the support that I get after, assuming that I win, hopefully. Please.
Well, everything that we do, and this is, I'm saying it from my heart, you know.
From your heart, yes.
Everything that we do here is because we believe that all this change cannot be made by one single company,
Absolutely.
by one single individual, but we believe it is a collective movement. So what Reshape represents is this sense of distributed knowledge and a generation of a network that really brings value and also set a mark that want to position ourselves towards which are the actual values of a market that we really want to change. So this means that we need to support then our participants in all the way that we can. In the Reshape Forum, we are connecting directly all our designers with the industry players, with our experts in research, innovation and education. And the idea is to trigger always a collaboration, trying to understand and also receive feedbacks from all these professionals that can really start to explain how this project can leverage, how they can improve, but also maybe how they can start to work together, you know. And this is for us like a Trojan horse. That's how I like it to picture. So it's how you introduce an skill and an expertise that at the end it turns into something that is crucial, and it becomes to be a cornerstone of a new change that the industry also needs to admit and embrace. So another new solution that we found this year is to connect with the Future Fashion Alliance and distribute also the opportunities of our designers using Wardrobe of Tomorrow as a platform that can also expose them to the market and present those projects directly in the market, and also compare this solution to the one of famous designers and brands that are already established.
Absolutely, that's amazing. So as a designer, I arrive at Reshape. I have the project assessed by a team of specialists based on certain sets of criteria. I am awarded a package which consists of what?
Well, you earn a package that consists in this particular year. You have the opportunity to participate for free for the winner in the Design for a Wearable program, because so far, you know, we were missing one step. We are selecting talents, we are connecting talents to the industry. Some of them are still a bit in need of exploring, or let's say consolidating a little bit more their expertise in order to a little bit target one specific direction and be even more powerful in the impact. Even be more powerful in the impact that they want to generate. So with this idea in mind, we produce a new program for education. We believe that a big connection with innovation is with education. So we have this program of 6 months together with the Institute of European Design of Barcelona that tackle all the different aspects that really can leverage the impact and the implication of, let's say, the impact and the capacity, the power of a project to be strong and successful. So we have experts that will guide through a challenge coming from the industry, research and education, our students in a longer pattern that will teach them how to use digital tools, computational design, physical computing, additive manufacturing, but also understand material properties, understand how materials can embed in new forms of intelligence, integrate also augmented reality, virtual reality in a new realm that can really mix you know, all the skills and expertise producing
storytelling and business
producing
development,
new
everything
solutions
together. So that's absolutely amazing. Also, we talked about the Future of Fashion Alliance, which is a consortium of companies and organizations from all over the world and pushing together for a better, cleaner fashion industry, and not only fashion, but a better, cleaner world. Now, going back to the designer, as a designer, most problems that these designers have, I mean, being a highly creative individual has a trade-off, if you like. You consume all your mind power on creating, and creating consumes you to a point where you start ignoring the daily problems. Finances is one of them. You create so much that you become a burden to your family, friends, financially speaking. So is the combination with Wardrobe of Tomorrow a way of allowing these designers to start market their products?
Totally. I mean, there is absolutely, I believe, another plus in participating to this platform, to this experience, and understanding also which are the opportunities. So I believe that every one of us is also representing a new and different opportunity for them to really be more effective in this collective change that we are trying to promote.
Beautiful.
So Wardrobe of Tomorrow, I believe it's representing this, you know, the connection, the bridge to the market.
Absolutely.
And I guess this is a new novelty in our program that we are really triggered to also represent in our next edition.
That's superb. Aldo, I'm going to end with one question. And that question is about your future projects. I know you have so many projects, but what are your future projects, short-term, long-term?
Okay, what you see here in the back is our last project, I mean our future project. We are launching this new product that is called We Are Pure Tech. It's a combination of polymers and minerals that have the ability to absorb carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxide, volatile organic compounds, and is also a new material that has the possibility to embed functionalities into matter, a positive functionality that will heal the environment from pollution. It represents clearly the combination of multiple companies working together, a multidisciplinary approach in the evolution and the generation of a garment solution that can also be translated to different sectors, from construction to furniture design. It's the collaboration between Noumena and PrimeLab, and we are really happy here to showcase some of the first results of this collaboration.
So I said I'm going to end up with that question, but I can talk to you for hours. It's amazing talking to you. Give me an applicability of that new development.
Sure. So, for instance, shifting to construction, we've been developing panels for facade, and we've been calculating together with the University of Alicante the impact in CO2, carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxide, and volatile compounds absorption. And 1 square meter of this material absorbs 63 grams per year, which is more or less the amount of pollution that a tree can absorb in one day. But if you calculate the square meters of a surface like a normal building of 5 stores in Barcelona, we are talking about 3,600 square meters, calculated as well by the normal length in terms of life of a building that is 15-20 years for the surface material. It's a tons of CO2 and pollutants that we can absorb from the air. I think it can really represent a change and a new solution for a urban environment that needs to implement green technologies to heal also the public spaces and cities.
Guys, you've heard it from the man himself. Keep an eye on Reshape 2020 is coming.